this cop drove up behind me. He didn't know about my psychotic episode in the park with my friend Matthew, who went into psychiatric hospital for 9 months. The LSD did a little worse job on him. He got out and got me by the collar and got me on the sidewalk just before I dropped. And something in me, I said, you know, there must be a God. Now, I didn't say that to him. It didn't even occur to me at that moment. He just asked what I was doing, and I was still hallucinating, and I just said, me and Matt did 25 hits for the LSD, and with that, I was in the back of his cruiser and off to the psychiatric hospital again, and they weren't happy to see me so quickly, but they decided to keep me for a night. And then I was kicked out the next day. The social worker got me, and he was very discouraged. His pot project wasn't working out. You know, I was only supposed to be smoking marijuana, and here I am trying to commit menticide with 25 hits of LSD. So he told me either I get a job in 48 hours or he's kicking me out. Well, of course I'm hallucinating. My glasses are gone. I'm covered in blood. How am I going to get a job? So I was kicked out. The one thing before Mark and I parted ways, I asked him, what do you think of Jesus Christ? Now, Mark was a very good leftist, and he looked at me and said, I believe Jesus Christ existed, but he was only a man. And everything Mark ever told me up to then was gospel, because he was kind of my father figure. You know, he was kind of the father I didn't really have. But of course, you know, I was starting to cost him too much money with weed, so I had to buy my own weed. Got on taking 25 hits of acid. Well, you know, my father figure was thinking that it's time to get this guy out of my house, and maybe understandably so. He wasn't my father. I was 18 years old. I was a complete mess. You could see Mark's point, but I couldn't accept that Jesus Christ is only a man. So I thought I had to go look for him. So I started hitchhiking across the country, kind of looking for Jesus Christ. I didn't know what else to do. Maybe it wouldn't make any sense to you guys. I'd wind up in different men's hostels, go to a Salvation Army service here, go to a apostolic service there. Went out to BC, went to Regina, broke into some houses, did more glue. Eventually I found my way to Windsor, Ontario. At this point I got so low that I couldn't even steal anymore. And I was doing like 10, 15 tubes of glue a day. So my body was completely toxic. Probably my IQ was going down quite a bit. You know, at the age of 18, I was hanging out in graveyards, and I was hanging out in back alleys. And the garbage truck would come by and pick up the garbage on my right, pick up my garbage on the left, and I'd be in the middle, and they'd just leave me there, and I'd just be sniffing my glue. So at this point, I looked completely marginal, and I am completely marginal, and I couldn't put together a sentence, really. The police don't have a lot of respect for you, and especially in the 80s, I think things were a little rougher than they are now. You didn't have the video cameras and stuff that police have to worry about, so they would pour glue on me and maybe hit me and call me different swear words. And at this point, I was too low to fight back. And at this point, I couldn't even steal anymore, so I just grabbed pop bottles and stuff like that, and I'd recycle them. This is what I was doing at the age of 18. I had no friends. I had no family. I had no one. And of course, the poverty and the marginalization grinds on you. And I was just smart enough to know that this is a real dead end. One day I went into a graveyard to get high, and hence the name of my book. I wasn't looking for God at that moment. Wasn't even thinking about him. But I believe the Holy Spirit moved in a supernatural way. I was sniffing this glue. And for some reason, the fumes could not reach my lungs, because the way glue works is the fumes go into your lungs. It's toluene, it's acetone, it's toxic, it's poison, and then it goes to your brain, and that's what causes you to hallucinate and takes you out of your reality. And that's all I wanted, was to get out of my reality. It was a very dismal reality. This was the only thing I knew how to do. For some reason, I couldn't get high. In the first tube, you think, it's just a dud, eh? So then I threw in the second one, and it was a dud too. I couldn't get high. I got extremely frustrated and went through all 10 tubes in about an hour, which usually lasts you a whole day, and I was as straight as an arrow. And at that point, I just started crying because of the bitterness of being straight and not high. And then I looked at these tombstones, and they were from the 19th century, and some of you would probably know Canada in the 19th century. It was a more Protestant, upright culture. People went to church, people stole less, they didn't have the sense of entitlement that I had. And I thought, and I said, it was the next time I prayed, I said, God, these people lived a lot more honest and cleanly than me.